one of the first things after you purchased this city, you probably got an email that had a checklist in it. So, some information that we wanted you to fill out and send back, and then a checklist to help you as you get started, so you can print that off as you go along. But you also should have gotten an invite to 2 different cities. So, you being a core builder, you will be a part of a couple different cities, and where most of the people in your church, they're just going to be part of your church's city. So, you will be a rare case situation. And one of the first city we invite you to is this city called the City Training. You also get an invite to your church's city right away, and that is, we later give you admin rights, and so you can start setting that up as you're going through training. The reason we have the City Training is to be able to give you our core training, and we do that through the form of a process. So once you are inside your city, and when you're signing up for both those cities, you'll be able to use your same login and password for both, so that you'll be able to link those accounts. And up here in the power bar is where you can toggle in between the cities that you're part of. So you can see I'm a part of a lot of different cities here. Now the city itself, this is just kind of a big picture concept. The city itself is its own secured place. So that means you do need to have been invited to the city in order to come inside of it. Once you're in the city, you can see I'm on my homepage right now. The city is made up of groups. So groups is a really big concept to the city. Groups are so important to the city that when you join, everyone's automatically in a group, and this is your church level group. So when you came to this city training here, you would have been a part, if you unfolded your groups tab, you would have been a part of the training city, or the training church here, and then probably, I think it's called Sandbox group. So that's a group that you can play around in and create events. So what you're seeing in my news feed is content that's been created in the groups that I'm a part of, and we just put all that content in one place and show you the most recently acted upon things. So if I wanted to create content, I'd need to go to the specific group that I was interested in. So for instance, if I wanted to create a prayer, I'd have to first choose what group I wanted to send my prayer to, and then from there create it. So to find our launch process, you can find it a couple different places. One place is over here on the side panel. We have a promotion, and you can click on this promotion and it'll put you into it. Also, if you navigate over to the training church group, so again, that's our main church group, you will see a promotion banner up here at the top. This will get you into the launch process. And if you find any of these articles that topics that we've featured up in the top, I give a link to it. But this new to the city start here is another great place to go. Once you're in the launch process, now I opened a new tab for it. It is going to walk you through the core piece of our training. So this first part, we start you in on just thinking through you and your core team. Usually we say like 1 to 3 people on your core team are going to be the ones that are going through this launch process. And we give you some questions up front that are really good for you to talk through with your other team, with your other core team. So things like, what's the mission and vision of why we're using the city and how we want to communicate this to our church. And this is really important because what you'll find is, for the most part, you're not going to need to teach the church body at a whole how to use the city, but you're going to need to answer the question of why am I supposed to be using the city. So this is something important as we walk through launch, just best practices around launching of first you're getting your staff on board, then you're bringing on your group leaders, and then you're having your group leaders invite their groups, and then you're doing your church-wide launch as a whole. So at each of those stages, each of those people are really wanting to know, why does me coming on the city, how does that connect with being on mission for the church? Because for the most part, they don't need to know how to make an event. They need to know why they should make an event on the city and not just use Evite or not just send an email. So we try to walk you through some questions like that, and also as we're giving you just dates and timelines to start thinking about, these are also good discussions to have. It doesn't, these steps don't take that long, even these ones up front. We have videos in each of them that last anywhere from 2 to like 6 minutes, so it doesn't take too long to walk through it. This first part here is just a general user portion of the training, so walking you through, this is what general users, so everyone in your church would see. The second step, we go through the admin tools, and at this point you have your city, and we signal you in the process to contact us so we can give you admin rights to your city. That way you can start building it as you're learning the different admin privileges, and then we end it with more of that vision kind of launch planning. So this is our core. From here we direct you to other specialized courses. If you purchased some of our modules, we point you in that direction as well. So this is the core launch process, and for those getting started, this is really the big takeaway from this webinar, is making sure that you know how to get into this launch process. Some other things that may be helpful for you. So up in this top is a help button, and this takes you, not only can you ask us questions, if there be something that isn't working correctly, or you're kind of curious to see how it works, you can come and go to the City Help Desk. You have two options here. The blue is Ask a Church Leader for Help. If you're in the training city, you can just go to the City Help Desk if you have any questions. But in your own city, Ask a Church Leader for Help. This is going to start a message with someone who has the admin privilege of support admin. So when you first get started, if you haven't given anyone that privilege, it'll go to you as the account admin. But this go to the City Help Desk is what directs you to our knowledge base for you and for your users. Now in this knowledge base, this is where you can ask a question, but more importantly, underneath here you can see the different forums of different FAQs and also the training materials. So this is where, when you're thinking about the 3 core builders that you have, and they're the ones that are in the training city actually going through the launch process, in terms of the rest of your staff and other people that you want to give training, you really just want to invite them to your church's city. So creating a group on your city that some of those, especially whether it be your staff or early group leaders, can come on and start playing around with the city. But you can just post links to some of these trainings for them. So they don't need to join the city training in order to get the same training. So all the videos you went through, they are in here. But I just want to highlight some of the main ones that you should know about. If you purchased any of the modules, so children's ministry and then giving, this is where you're going to want to come to actually get the training for this. And this is also going to be helpful as other people at your church who are probably going to need to know this portion of it. You can send them these links. So one thing I recommend when it comes to, okay, there's other people at my church that I'm going to help them maybe set up children's ministry, but they're going to need to know about it, and the same with giving. Make sure you've invited them into your city first and kind of task them with setting up their account settings, and so their profile, and then also playing around with the city before they launch into this training. You don't want to give them this training if they have no concept of how to maneuver in the city. But this not only provides training setup videos, I'll just open this children's ministry one here. Not only provides setup videos for setting it up, I also have here a volunteer training video, so that they can give this to a step down from them, which is their volunteers, which walks them through it. And we have all of our materials to print off underneath there as well. So module training, let me flip back here. Rethinking your database. Actually, I'll just walk down the list of these first ones are just the most important. The group leader materials videos. Your group leaders are an important piece of the success of your city. So as you're getting started with the city, you want to identify who are what's the content engine of my city? So the city is as valuable as the content that's inside. That is just a simple rule of thumb when it comes to social media. It's as valuable as the content that's inside. So as you are beginning building your city, you need to identify, how do we get valuable content in there, and who do we want to be the driver of that? So that'll be at your church level group. So who is kind of figuring out at that top level group that everyone's in, what and who is on point, and what's our strategy for communicating up there. And then your group leaders, they're going to be at your kind of on the ground, kind of doing the ground war, so to speak. So you want them on board, and you not only want them to know how to lead their group, but you also, creating a best practice for them is a really great plan of not only how to use the group, which we try to take care of that for you. So how to use the group can be a matter of you taking this link and having them watch this video, but also addressing why you want them using the group and things like communication. So how you want them communicating in the group, how often do you want them to communicate to their group. Just things of you laying out a best practice makes it really easy for you to just replicate and give to all your group leaders there in the city, whether it be if you're identifying if you have a community type group, so life groups or something like that, or your service teams, or just anyone who you're going to allow to start a group on the city. So group leader training materials, we give terminology cheat sheet and group leader guide. This terminology cheat sheet is probably good for you as you get started, just knowing what some of the symbols and icons mean. Rethinking your database. If you are coming off of a system off of a database type system, church management system, this is a great video just talking through how the city is different than that, and how it's a living database, and just some of the reports and things that we offer, but how there really is a change of thinking here. So we try to walk through some of those questions. This is an outline of what the video goes over. It is a longer one, but it's a pretty good one if these are something that interests you. Brainstorm your launch. I link to this out of the process, and this is, in my opinion, a must-watch. This goes through, so what I'm hitting on here in the support webinar is just really high-level getting started on training. This is dedicated to walking through, for you and your core team, as you're planning your launch, just what that should look like. So we take just things we've learned from churches of all different sizes and found some kind of core themes to what makes a church successful in their launch of the city. And we put that into a PowerPoint deck, which you can download down here, and then went through the PowerPoint discussing some of it. So there's some good questions in there that you and your team should be talking about. And from here, I link to the implementation materials, which was the next video or the next help ticket here, or down on the list. And this just gives you some materials that you can use for your launch. These are the main ones if you were taking note. It's worth just browsing the list, and some of these videos you may find interesting and want to watch. For the most part, those earlier ones that I said, those are a longer video, but these are all rather short. Connect groups, another great training that we have here in the help desk. So again, you can get to here by going to your help button and pressing that green one, which says, the green button that says go to the help desk. Other things that may help you as you are getting started. So I mentioned you're in the city training, and you're also in your church's city. You'll be invited to, in the launch process, we'll direct you here, but you'll be invited to a third city, which is known as City Builders. And City Builders, I'll go over here. This is the last city we invite you to. We definitely want you to feel comfortable within your city, and even going through the city training before we invite you here, which is why we don't invite you off the bat. But we take a couple of point people from every church and give them an invite to this builder's city. And this city is dedicated to people being able to share best practices and with each other. So people using the city from all different churches, and also for us to give information such as deploy notes and different things that are upcoming with the city. So this is the last kind of fun city that you get an invite from us to. Inside your city, as you've gotten, if you have gotten your city, and also later in the process you'll be asking for admin rights. So there's a couple things as you're getting going that you'll want to know how to do. So as you get started, the first thing that you want to do, set up your account settings. That can be found up here, and also start to feel around the front side of the city. So going into your sandbox group, creating some events, topics, just getting comfortable and familiar with what it looks like to interact on the front side. Once we give you admin privileges, you up in the power bar here have this admin button. And this admin button takes you to the admin panel. Now once you're an admin, we give you what's called account admin rights. So that is your top level admin. And you will have what's called site settings. You'll have this tab, and you also have this tab privileges. So the way that admin works here on the city is an account admin awards out different admin privileges. So you don't start with all your admin. So one of the first things that you'll want to do once you get an admin privilege, and you'll know you have it again because you have the little admin button up in your power bar, is you'll want to go ahead and give yourself all this admin privilege. So you would click on the privilege, add user, type in your name, click on your picture, and go ahead and add that. So that's one of the first steps. The second is once you're inside your city and you have your admin privilege, you're going to want to give yourself group leader privilege to your church. So there is a difference between the role that you have in a group. So if you are a leader of a group and having admin privilege. So just kind of want to separate the difference between those two. Each group on the city, you may have remembered from the beginning how I said your city is its own secured place. Well, each group operates like that as well. So there is some oversight onto the groups, and someone from the admin side over here, like a group admin, they can add themselves to any group and be able to go in and see what's going on. But the group itself on the front side of the city is its own secured place. So that means that within each group, there are different roles that you can have. There is what we call a leader or a manager. They both, two different roles, but have the same privilege. The leader just has, they're more visible as the leader. I'll pull up viewing participants over here. So there are different roles that you can have. So one of the first things you're going to want to do as well is you'll pull up the training church group, so your top level group, and go ahead and give yourself leader privilege there in your church group. Another thing that you'll probably want to do when you first get your city and get your admin, and after you've started on your launch process, is you'll probably want to know how to start inviting people. So the easiest way to invite people when you have admin privilege is to come under here as a group admin and actually decide what group it is that you want to invite them to. For the most part, that as you're getting started, maybe you created a special group for people to come into, or maybe you just want to invite them to your church level group. But you would find the group that you want to invite them to and select the add participants. And from here, you can type in their email address. Now, there are there's really two ways that you can join the city. One, you're invited, or two, you signed up at the kiosk and the city sent you an invite. So starting with the first one, being invited from a group, you can either be invited from a group by someone like myself who's a group admin, and I'm actually here on the admin panel inviting you, or you can be added by someone who's a leader or a manager of a group on the front side of the city. So I refer to this as the city's front side. And to invite someone on the front side of the city, I would come into this group. I would select this participants icon. This is what's going to show me what the roster is for this group. And from there, I will see, my computer's loading here, I'll see an invite me tab, or not tab, invite me section. And I can invite someone new. And the city lets me choose whether or not I want to, if they're in the city, I just have to know their name and I can start typing them in. So if I wanted to invite my friend Colleen, I could do that. And if they're not in the city, I just select not in the city and type in their email address. And I can send them a custom message. So that's inviting someone in. The second way, like I had talked about before, was kiosk. Now actually I'll just do it from here. Every city has a kiosk to it. And you can get to your kiosk by taking what is your URL, so that's the name of your church, .onthecity.org, and I'm going to do /kiosk. Now your kiosk, you can choose for it to be open or closed. So I could have it open to where when I type in /kiosk, it would just open right up to it. Or I can have it closed to where it's going to require me it puts down this authentication box. Your username's always your username's always kiosk, and your password is whatever you've set it to be as a site in the site settings as an account admin, but as default it is Jesus Saves. Oops. You know what? And this is what your kiosk looks like. So it gives you a portal that people can put in their email address, and the city can send them an invitation. So that is what that looks like. So there's a question here. Is there a limit to the number of admins? No, there is no limit to the number of admins. You can create as many, or you can give as many people as you would like admin privilege. Oh, this is builders. Go ahead and close these tabs. Anytime you go to a kiosk, it knocks you out of the city, so it makes you log back in. Admin privilege, and what part of the reason that we separated out the admin privilege was there are different things that you want to give admin privilege to. So you may want to let your pastors be able to view into all the users in the city, but you don't want them necessarily to see financial information or having access to site settings or groups, or so that's part of the reason why we segment out the different privileges. But I would say, as a good rule of thumb, your main account, so account admin, what makes that admin privilege really important is that they have access to privileges. So they could give themselves any privilege that they wanted in the city. For the most part, as an account admin, I think one to maybe 3 people as account admin, depending on how large your church is enough people for that. Your other main user and group admin, these are 2 other big admin categories. A user admin, you can have a good handful of people on there. They're the ones who can actually look up a person. I think this will take me to his user admin profile. Yeah. So this allows you just to look up a person and see notes on them that maybe have been made in their profile information. The groups admin, this is a really big one. So a group admin, it doesn't take that long to create a group. So that's when you're trying to think of who needs group admin access. If there are people on your staff that you think are going to be creating a lot of groups, they're a great person to have group admin access. But group creating a group it only takes maybe 2 minutes. It really doesn't take that long. So a group admin's main function is not just that they can create a group, but that they can they can invite themselves to any group, they can invite anyone they want to any group, and they're able to see statistics on the group. So it may be something that you, again, want to keep to just a handful of people. It may not be something that you want to just give the privilege out to everyone. Those are your main group types. Some of the other, so even in group view here, you can look at groups via the group tree, or you can search for them. The other admin privileges here, this gives you access to some statistics, financial if you've purchased the giving module, designer for things like the logo, background color, being able to customize, and here's that support admin privilege I referred to for the help button. All right, so that's really the core of what you need to know to get started. The rest of the time, if you have questions, now's the time you can find that question box again and ask whatever might be on your mind. And we have 30 minutes here that I can walk through if there are specific areas that you would like me to go through, or we can end early. All right, so it looks like for the most part you guys are good. Like I said, get into the launch process. That is kind of that's the big takeaway from this webinar. From there we start connecting you to some of the different, like I said, more of the specialized training, also things like that Brainstorm Your Launch webinar that is also a really great thing for you and your team to go through. But for the most part, getting in that launch process is the core of our training, and then we give you the help desk to supplement the rest of it. And we will go ahead and just end this early. Thanks for coming, and we will see you later. I never know how to end those webinars.